Welcome back to another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dave Chase, with my other host, Justin Commandoris. How are we today?
Just dandy. It's almost Christmas.
Almost Christmas, yeah. I mean, hopefully we're getting this podcast out before Christmas because we are recording this right before pickup time. So shout out
That's up to
schedules.
shout out to the producer. Like, they have to figure that one out.
That is the producer. Wait, am I the producer? Okay. Yeah. We were talking for at least 20 minutes before we started recording, but I apologize in advance for anyone listening to this episode. I've been dealing with a raspy voice. I just smoked a carton of cigarettes right before this. So now I've just been sick, being out of town. Wanted to do an episode prior to Christmas. We know with the holidays coming up, a lot of people are going to be hitting the new year, new me, with fat loss, weight loss goals, transformation goals. And we love that. We're very excited about that. Both of us super, I know I can speak to for Justin when I say this, we're always, no matter what time of year, going to celebrate someone that wants to change their life, change their body composition. So our episode is about how to break through the fat loss plateau. So if you've been suffering or experiencing this in the past or currently or will in the coming future, let us educate you on that today. So I just wanted to open with an initial question to Justin, and then we'll kind of just go from there. So initial thoughts about weight loss. Where do people start? Where do you think it usually starts for them?
When you say start, are you meaning like the beginning of their journey?
At any point they say, hey, I'm going to try to go down from 250 pounds to 185 pounds. Initial thoughts of maybe steps to take or just thoughts, how do I do this?
There's a lot to unpack there, because it's a very much a physical, emotional, and mental journey. I think that at the very top of that pyramid, or let's just say the bottom, the base of that pyramid, is that we cannot refute the first law of thermodynamics. It is completely immutable. And we know this because the studies around thermodynamics are very strong, meaning that they literally locked people in a facility and they controlled what they ate in precise amounts, and they controlled how much they moved, and they all lost weight in pretty equal amounts, all things considered. Um, Once you are aware of that, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, then I just need to eat less and everything will be good. Well, a lot of things happen when you start to make changes. Okay. So usually the route that I like to take is that if you just start moving more, and let's say this person has weighed 250 for 6 months, they haven't gained or lost any weight, and they just start to move more. And that doesn't mean necessarily strength training. Maybe it means walking, maybe it means more getting up throughout the day, but you just start to move more and everything stays equal. You will start to lose a little bit of weight because your energy out starts to be more than what the energy incoming, which is food, is. Now, for a lot of people, that will work. And then the next step is like, okay, well, I'm going to start to introduce like some strength training. That's typically where it kind of can get more difficult for a lot of people, believe it or not, because we know that with all the different hormones, stress hormones and cortisol, strength training is just another stressor, right? And we know that when you increase those things, the hunger hormone starts to kind of go up some. So we start to see that increase in ghrelin, and that decrease in leptin, which is your hunger hormones. And that is coming in because your body's saying, okay, I'm doing all these extra things now. I probably need to eat more, because it's used to being 250. That's homeostasis, right? Whether it's healthy for you to be that big or not, your body has grown used to being that size. So you have to break that chain. And so that's where, when you start to strength train in addition to the walking, that's where you start to really have to make the adjustments with your intake and being more disciplined. And that's where the mental side starts to kind of kick in. And that may not kick in for a while for some people, but it's all going to depend on, the amount that you're giving yourself. And that's why good periodization for anybody is appropriate. because you don't want to just, if you were, Dave, if you were, let's just say you're the 250 person, you wouldn't want to reduce your calories to 1200 and go sign up at a CrossFit gym just based on wanting to lose weight, right? Because what you're doing is you're taking your calories way down, which is going to drive your cortisol up, especially if you're a female, by the way, because females run higher cortisol than males. So you're taking your calories way down, cortisol, and then you're going and doing a high intensity workout, lots of cortisol. Now you're compounding those two things, which is going to kick up your hunger hormones, and it's going to create a metabolic adaptation, which we're going to talk about, where your body adapts to what it's doing and it slows down your metabolism to a lower amount. And so that's why you have to be careful. And that's why weight loss can be so difficult. And it doesn't have to be difficult. You just have to find ways to control what's coming in
Right.
versus what's going out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess and that was all great information. I guess we have to back it up and say like some common beliefs, like myths versus facts, like all calories are equal as long as you just burn more than you consume. The source doesn't matter. And we know that that is a myth, that the protein and fiber are more filling than refined sugars, even at the same calorie count. Like you absolutely could do. And we talked about this during our nutrition, all things nutrition episode, where you can eat gummy bears and over jasmine rice, but we know that those two things aren't created equal. We know that eating beef and rice is not going to be the same as eating gummy bears and trying to think of like like beef jerky, I guess. Like I'm not a big fan of beef jerky, but I know people that do that. Carbs or fat make you fat. I feel like that one's been kind of debunked by now. Like we do know that carbohydrates are your friend, and then eating some good sources of fat like eggs and avocado are absolutely good sources for you. Targeting fat loss in specific areas. I mean, that's just crazy to think that you can do that. But
Yeah.
and then fad diet, I think that this one kind of speaks to our history, right? Fad diets and quick fixes work long term. I feel like we have a lot of people out there that are drawn to the, I'm not going to say the phrase, lose X amount of pounds in quickly, right?
Hmm.
I'm sure you can think of the one I'm thinking. We know that that's not going to result in long-term success usually, right? Obviously, some people saw great results on it or just did it
Yeah.
as a natural cleanse. And then exercising too. Like, hey, you have to go, Dave, from 0 minutes a week to 180 minutes per week. That's a lot, 3 hours a week when you've been doing absolutely nothing. And I do think that it's the drastic changes, right? And then it's always going to be linear. Believe that that's a huge myth, right? If you're trying to be at 250 or you're at 250 and trying to be all the way down to 185, you're just going to lose that amount of weight and it's just going to keep going and going and going. No, the reality is you will hit plateaus. You'll go up and down, um, based on digestion, water weight, stress. I mean, a ton of different things, right? Other hormones. And then the self-esteem and body image issues, all or nothing mentality. And then I do believe that this is being focused on a lot more, which is it's not the physical changes that need to be the sole focus. We need to remember that our mental health is something that we can change as well during this process.
100%.
But those are kind of the opening thoughts of like, hey, like I'm gonna lose weight. I know anyone listening to this, if you've ever tried to lose weight, like I have or Justin has, and done it successfully and backtracked at times, this episode will be for you. It's not to shame people that lose weight and then gain it. It's to show you that there are fixes that Justin told me when we decided on this episode earlier today. Let's figure out how to help the people that we do have listening to this show so they can feel better about their journey versus, hey, like you're just training and you're getting stronger. That's great. But if you want to see physical changes and mental health benefits as well, then this is the episode for you. So I'll stop hyping it up.
No, I actually, so your statements there reminded me of something that I saw on social media. And, most of the things that we see are usually, like rage bait or they're trolling or whatever. And so I saw this caption and it says, sleep deprivation can make you fat. So I said, I went into Gemini because I wanted to figure out what the relevance, even though I knew what they were saying, I wanted the references to either support or refute the claim that sleep deprivation can make you fat. And obviously I got this whole entire, rundown on what are the things that occurred, which most of these I already knew, but these are all based on meta-analysis and different studies at like Columbia and Harvard. And obviously it came back as like, yes, it can. Here are the reasons why. So then I said, well, so it's still more correlation than causation. And um, it is initially a matter of correlation, but blah, blah, blah. These are the reasons why it's actually more causation. And so what I said was, okay, the lack of sleep itself does not add fat to your body. It's the cascading effect of hormonal disruptions that mainly cause the individual to overeat and to be more sedentary. Okay. So if the individual was somehow, in theory, more disciplined, they could overcome those issues. And obviously there's a strong link there between short sleep patterns and weight gained. And it all goes down to the changes in your appetite and the decrease in energy expenditure, which you cannot really do anything about if you have deprived yourself of enough sleep. Hopefully I'm not going down the wrong rabbit hole here, but it's important to kind of compare when we made that statement to say like the type of calories that you eat does matter, because obviously as comparison, if I gave David a pack of gummy bears and I said, here's your calories for the week, and it's just this pack of gummy bears, and he took and split that up in 7 days, and it would equate to, let's say, 1,000 calories for the week. Would Dave lose weight? Yes. But here's why: it would create a cascade of negative things that would cause him to eventually rebound and then gain fat. So what I ended up coming down to was that, in regards to the sleep studies, and it came up with a Mayo Clinical study, a controlled randomized crossover study from the Mayo Clinic found that when participants had their sleep restricted, they saw a 9% increase in total abdominal fat and an 11% increase in visceral fat, which is the dangerous fat around the organs, compared to the control. So that was essentially AI's direct response to, it's more cause or more causation than correlation. And it was like, okay, well, it's still driven by appetite and activity, but because of the increase in insulin resistance that occurs, you're still actually gaining fat by depriving yourself of sleep. Now that's crazy to me, right? Because we're always like, ah, well, it's always more about, it's correlated, but it's not the cause. When in the reality, the insulin resistance is what causes the fat to be gained in the first place. So I think that's very relevant to what you said, in that, you know, calories are not all created equal, because from, with the guy that did the you ever seen the movie Super Size Me,
Well,
where he ate?
that's not a good source, Justin.
I'm just saying, like,
He was an
that.
alcoholic and he was drinking during it and swore that it had nothing to do with it. I don't know if you knew about this.
uh, oh, I didn't know
The whole
about
thing
that, but I'm just saying,
it
like,
was a whole hoax. I wouldn't source it if I were you.
okay, well, let's not source that. Let's just use
Okay.
the gummy
Yeah.
bear scenario, right? Like,
Yeah. He's dead now, by the
eventually,
way.
we're not talking about a world-ending scenario where,
Yeah.
like, 28 days later, where all you could find is candy bars and Cokes. Like, obviously,
Twinkies too. They
yeah,
survived,
and
right?
Twinkies. Your
Right.
body's, yeah, from
Yeah.
Zombieland.
Right.
Your body is going to absorb those calories and use them as they see fit for
Yeah.
energy. It'll be immediate, right? So you would lose weight, right?
Mhm.
But in a real world situation, if Dave chooses to just eat gummy bears for 1 week and it's only 1,000 calories, what's going to happen next week? It's going to be World War III on calories, right?
Right. Well, and then
So
the thing that in the beginning that you didn't point out yet, which I thought was funny, you clicked on it because it was clickbait. You
right,
commented on it. You did the research because you were so fed up with how this person wrote it, and you're like, well, I can't just trust what kind of goes back to like the war on AI. Like I hate AI. I have I mean, I listened to, the popular sports podcast, right? And I had to hear certain stats about this is just taking it sideways just for a second about Tua. He just got benched, right? So Tua Tagovailoa gets benched. For anyone who listens to this isn't a football fan, he is no longer playing the starting position of quarterback for the Miami Dolphins after his poor performances. And I have to hear, he was leading in this stat and that stat. And I actually went on and did the research and it was wrong. I'm like, okay, we can't keep reporting fake stuff or
yeah,
he was actually top five. Okay, well, you should have said that, or you should have said he was top five. I'm not hating on anyone specifically. It wasn't technically wrong. It was just, there were things like, hey, he was first among starters or, hey, he was third. Okay, well, that's not first though. And so we have to say certain things but it got me to do the research because I was surprised by
right.
hearing that specific phrase. And you were like, okay, well, I have to go do this because you're saying that sleep deprivation is going to lead to fat loss. Well, yeah, maybe it does. Let me see what the actual cause is versus just taking everything at face value. And I do feel like we've allowed these common themes to get louder because there are people everywhere in positions of power that just blatantly say wrong things, right? That's not a bad
Yeah,
statement to
I
make.
and I almost don't wanna say this in front of you because I know you might take it and run with it. So, the actual post was I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he used to be like a nutritionist and a strength coach in the NFL. And he's a doctor, so automatically he has relevance.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
I saw that caption, I'm like, that's kinda trolly, let me see." Well, it was all built around the fact that this gentleman drinks Sprite before he goes to bed
Right to bed,
every
dude.
single night, and the caption along with the sleep deprivation, fat loss was elite hydration. I never get up to go pee at night because I
Wow.
drink Sprite with this supplement mixed in before I go to bed. So I'm looking at my can of Fresca here, which is pretty much similar to a sugar-free Sprite. And like you've got carbonated water, citric acid, concentrated grapefruit juice, potassium citrate. I'm starting to see and read in between the lines. Potassium sorbate. Um, and then potassium benzenate, and then calcium disodium EDTA to protect the taste. Okay, so those three potassiums are what he calls like the pillars for elite hydration. And so, because of that, him drinking that before he goes to bed with his sleep formula supplement that he sells, he is not waking up in the middle of the night to go pee. Now, I would argue that you
Yeah,
could
it's the same thing. Sprite Zero. I switched back
certainly.
to Coke Zero, by the way.
Well, Coke is not carbonated water. Sprite would be more of carbonated water.
Coke Zero, I have two a day, and I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. Having a diet soda, two diet sodas a day is nothing.
Isn't that what, don't they call that like fridge cigarettes or something?
Fridge cigarette. Yep.
Yeah. So again, like that's a super gimmicky thing, right? But so that's what led me down that rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, this guy's drinking Sprite before he goes to bed. And I can't say anything because I'll a couple nights a week I'll have a Fresca when we're watching a show or something like that. I just like the way that it tastes and it doesn't have any
Why not every
calories in it.
single day?
Do I?
Why not every single day?
I don't know. And for me, typically, like if the context is important because recently I've seen more Stan Efferding talking about, drink when you're thirsty. Don't try to get a certain amount, but drink when you're
Yeah.
thirsty because you can
Yeah.
certainly overhydrate. And so if you're somebody that's not taking in like a lot of potassium or sodium and you're drinking a ton of water, you might get up a lot to go pee at night versus if you're taking in those essential minerals and electrolytes, your body's going to stay hydrated. So you're not going to be going pee all the time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah,
He went,
drinking when you're I mean, listen, I've listened to podcasts before where, like, professional bodybuilders or sponsored athletes and dietitians have said, you don't really even have to drink fluids with your food because your food should have vegetables in it that should contain some sort of water.
well, yeah, but
I
not
drink
everyone's
water with
eating
everything.
vegetables or fruits all the time. So, so that being said, I feel like we can well, what happened to my stuff here? We can kind of segue that
The
into
pornography off your computer, jeez, come on. I'm joking.
how
I'm
dare you
joking.
use that word.
As soon as I said it, I was like, "The kids are home and Justin's mom listens to this. This is gonna be great. We've
Anyway,
lost another listener."
sorry, mom.
Merry Christmas, Justin. Now, what the hell is this guy, Dave, who talking about this on the podcast? I'm sorry, Mom. You know, he grew up in Massachusetts and they just do things there a little differently.
Listen, it's all good, man. My mom has heard me say worse things. Oh, with all of that amazing context that we have
Yeah.
provided
Yeah,
to this
exactly.
situation,
Yep. Good segue. Yep.
what happens when 250-pound Dave hits
Hey, I'm
this
only 240. Come
plateau?
on. It's just this regular guy here.
He's yeah, not this Dave, like another David. Hits his plateau and he has no idea why he has stopped losing weight. What are the reasons why, likely from, you know, top to bottom? And then what are the fixes that we can implement to make things better? Right. So typically speaking, like there's gonna be some things that are gonna occur. And so what I'm gonna go into is what some of the kind of like off the beaten path things are that people don't really know about. And then I'm going to go into like what is the likely culprits. And these are going to blow some people away because they're so simplistic, but at the same time they're real. And then obviously the solutions, because we don't like to provide scenarios or problems without the solutions to those problems. So number one, this would be more of someone like from the beginning, and this is what's called the whoosh effect, and that's built around water retention. Okay, so research indicates that during fat loss, adipocytes, which are the fat cells, can temporarily fill with water after releasing the triglycerides to maintain structural integrity. This masks fat loss on the scale, so it's one for one. Now, why why would the body want to do that? Right? Well, number one, it wants to maintain homeostasis. Number two, cortisol. Okay. So high stress from life or from intense training, right, increases cortisol, which then downstream increases aldosterone, leading to significant water retention. The result, the client loses 2 pounds of fat, but holds 2 pounds of water. Okay. So the scale doesn't move for 3 weeks and then suddenly drops 4 pounds overnight. That's the whoosh. Does that scenario, have you ever experienced a whoosh before where you just drop 5 pounds out of nowhere?
Yeah, usually that first week of when I'm kind of back on tracking everything, I would say.
So, like, what I mean is, I'm tracking everything appropriately. The scale hasn't moved, and then all of a sudden, I wake up one day and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, there's an ab or two, there's a vein or two, and the scale says I'm now 4 pounds lighter than I was yesterday. Did I lose 4 pounds in one day, or did the filled adipocytes with water just become expelled? That's the likely scenario in which that happens, right? Um, so do you have any thing on that you want to ask or?
I was just gonna say, if anyone's listening, like, if you wanna weigh yourself every day, you absolutely can, but I just feel like weighing yourself weekly or even twice, or I would say 1 to 2 times a week is probably the most you should weigh yourself.
In this scenario,
If you're weighing
if
yourself daily, it's fine, it's just it becomes obsessive in
yeah,
my
I would
opinion.
say in this scenario, if you're like 3 weeks and you're weighing weekly and you haven't seen the change, this is the scenario where you would start to weigh every day so that
Yes.
you can ensure that something like that is or isn't occurring. Okay. The second one would be, and this is also pretty likely, the metabolic adaptation. So, and again, adaptive thermogenesis. So the body's essentially fighting homeostasis. As you lose weight, your body starts to adapt to a lower subset of calories. Even though you're remaining in a deficit, your total daily energy expenditure drops. So then we see when that happens, typically you don't really notice it because it's more built around NEAT reduction, which is just non exercise activity thermogenesis, fidgeting, standing, subconscious movement, things like that. That often will plummet when you're in a deficit long enough. So the result of that is your calculated maintenance um, might be 1,800 calories. But if you're eating 1,500 and you're in a 300 calorie deficit, due to that adaptation, your burn actually will drop to 1,500. You're no longer in a deficit, even though you think you're eating diet calories.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would imagine that a lot of people would experience this. And this is why I believe that with coaching, when you have somebody you're working with and they see the results that you're getting or not getting, they can make those adjustments to either move your calories down more or bring you back up to maintenance for a little bit of time to boost your metabolic rate back up, which I'll get into that fix momentarily. And really, the last thing that's much more rare, but still possible. And this is the one that people always, especially, let's just say, this is the one that people always want to throw out first is medical factors. And these are usually much more rare than people think. So, thyroid issues, so like hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's or PCOS, they don't break the laws of physics. However, they do lower your basal metabolic rate. So if you're somebody that has hypothyroidism and your BMR is 1300, but your hypothyroidism is untreated, you might be at 1100. So if you know that you're having these issues and PCOS is very common amongst a lot of women, um, you may need to adjust your calories to meet that deficit. It's just like if you're breastfeeding, you need to you're losing 500 calories just from breastfeeding, so you need to actually bump your calories up to match that, right?
Mhm.
So when you're looking at some of these issues, some of them again are a little bit more likely and some of them are less likely, but again, they still can create the issues. Now, notice, Dave, that I didn't mention anything about people that struggle or people that they're not being dishonest or trying to mislead. They just aren't paying attention close enough to what I like to call the most likely culprit, which is the tracking gap. So, research consistently shows that individuals, even dietitians, will underestimate their intake. And we have a landmark study, and this is often cited as the Champagne et al., uh, or it's a similar metabolic ward comparison. And they showed that participants underreported calorie intake by up to 47% and overreported exercise by up to 51%. Okay.
That's higher than I thought. I thought it was gonna be because the food labels is closer to 20%
Well, there you
of what
go.
you're eating.
That could be in
Yeah,
food labels is a whole other thing. I'm not sure that
whole different
that
thing.
I even dug into that one enough, but I do get into some of this briefly.
Mhm.
So again, I truly believe people aren't being malicious. They're just falling victim to these like common errors in tracking,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so the first one is what's called the BLTs: bites, licks, and tastes while cooking or snacking. Well, I will be a prime example of that. All this week, there is a nice bowl, which I have asked to be prepared for me every year around this time, of Buddy the Elf snacks sitting right there on the counter where I cook dinner for everybody else. So while I'm cooking dinner for everybody else, I'm grabbing a couple of these rice checks and, maybe an M&M or two, throw one back. Now, I did ask this year to have the peanuts omitted because that just adds too many extra fat calories, but I'll have a couple of those as I'm making dinner every single night.
Are the
Sometimes
kids
I'll have a
making this, or is this strictly a Megan task?
is what now?
Is this Megan making this for you, or are the kids making
Yes,
it that
she
they're
makes
helping
it
out?
and it's
Okay.
the best.
What else is in there?
So you've got rice checks, the icing that goes on the rice checks, peanut butter, which you could use peanut M&Ms as well. I prefer the peanut butter M&Ms.
That's a good, I mean,
And
good choice.
then
I think peanut M&Ms I think are superior, but peanut butter M&Ms are also very good.
yes, and then they're like little balled pretzels, and you put that on a tray and you put the icing over top and it sticks together, and so you get these
Never
clumps.
had anyone call a pretzel bald until today.
It's just a ball. It's like a pretzel ball.
Oh,
Um,
ball. I thought you
yeah,
said bald.
no ball.
I thought you meant like unsalted. I'm like, so
Yes,
unsalted pretzels?
that's great. It's a balled pretzel. It's unsalted. So,
Ball pretzel.
David, is it highly likely or unlikely that you're going to be able to track any of those Buddy the Elf snacks calories?
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely,
I mean,
right?
unless you are literally like counting out everything and then it goes to this.
You're
How
still
accurate are food
guessing on the
labels?
portion.
20, yeah, exactly.
You still
20%
have to
margin for
guess the
error.
portion, right?
Yep.
So
Well, you'd have
that's
to put in
like
every single ingredient and then still it could be lying to you. So
correct, right? So that's number one. All right. So like we already have discussed why that's not the best place to be like replacing your calories or using your calories because it's just not all calories are created equal. So the next thing is like the portion drift, right? So 1 tablespoon of peanut butter is visually estimated, but actually weighs 32 grams, which is 2 servings. Okay. That's the big one.
oh, I
Oils,
thought it
peanut
was
butters. Yep.
I thought um I thought it was 1 tablespoon.
Visually estimated.
Oh,
So
you're
I
saying
take
that
a spoon out of my
they
drawer. This
yeah,
looks like a tablespoon, hmm, but you just scooped out 2 servings. So it's 240 calories, not 100.
I see what you're
Okay.
saying. Yeah.
So restaurant calories,
Mhm.
using generic entries on your MyFitnessPal, like this Caesar salad is 400 calories. Well, we all know that's bullshit. Okay. So for a restaurant meal that actually contains more like 900 calories due to the dressing. So again, if you're going out to eat all the time, you're probably causing more harm than good, even if I'll give you a perfect example. Almost 100% of restaurants, and you can fact check me on this, will cook their eggs in oil, right? And so the only way to get around having your eggs cooked in oil is to ask for your eggs poached, which have to be cooked in water. That is the only way to get around it. If not, you cannot say that your eggs is egg for egg 6 calories. Or no, not 6 calories, 6 grams of
That's
protein, 90 calories. You just can't get around that. So you have to make conscious decisions about, know, do I have a calorie or a caloric bank to be able to go out to eat? Am I in a good metabolic place where it really doesn't matter? Like, you know, I would use myself as an example. Like, I went to First Watch today, and like right now, their one of their holiday items is a cinnamon chip pancake, and they're
mhm.
so good. Like, they put these clumps of these like cinnamon chips in there, and I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna have it because whatever. I feel like I'm in a good place metabolically where I'm not worried about
Yeah.
that right now. But if you're
Yeah.
trying to lose weight,
Right.
does that make a lot of sense for you?
No, absolutely.
So
Absolutely not. So yeah, you should avoid those. You should avoid restaurants and eating out at all costs if you truly want during the first, I would say 2 to 6 weeks of trying to lose weight.
you need to understand if you can control yourself or not. That's really what it
Yeah.
boils down
Well,
to.
that's why I say like that's why I say 2 to 6 weeks, because if you can make it the first 2 to 4 weeks without doing an off plan meal versus like cheat meal or refeed, it's kind of like, it's going to sound insensitive, but when people are like, oh, I want a cheat meal, like after I'm the victim of this, right? And I usually say to myself, your entire life has been a cheat meal. Like this is time to get your health back, right? And I'm sure anyone listening or watching this podcast is going to say, well, don't you guys work out hard? Yeah, absolutely. But if we already reached our goal, then what's the goal that we need to reach? Well, the next goal.
Well,
That's kind
and
of the
here's the
issue.
thing. We're not using hard training as a caloric burner.
Right.
We're using hard training to get stronger and to break
Exactly.
down lean muscle tissue.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
another
people
myth,
got to
right? You
get that
work
out
out
of their
hard,
mind.
you can eat a lot. Yeah.
I have a guy, and I don't debate with him because I'm here to serve, that he has to burn a certain amount of calories in his workouts or he's just losing his mind. And that's his prerogative. That's okay because he's getting results. So he sees that as the reason as to why. But the reality is, what you need to do is you have a hierarchy or triangle of things. You've got training, you've got cardio, and then you've got your diet. Okay. Training is for getting stronger. Cardio is for metabolic health and cardiovascular health, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then your diet is to create, not only to nourish, but to create a deficit. And if you do those three things right, you get weight loss, right? But if you get that mixed up, oh, I'm going to go do CrossFit after I eat Thanksgiving so I can burn it all off. Look, dude, it ain't going to happen. It just doesn't work that way, right? Or I'm going to go for a run to burn it. No, you're not. That 1,000 calorie shake that you just got from Tropical Smoothie is going to take you 10 miles of running, to which you're also going to screw up your metabolism in the process of doing that, anyways. So it just like you have to get in that mental place. Okay, here's another good one, Dave. Healthy versus low calorie. So eating avocado, nuts, or gluten free options that are nutrient dense but calorically expensive. I eat 3 avocados a day. I don't. I'm just saying, like somebody eats 3 avocados a day because they're so good for you. That's 1,500 calories in three
A lot of calories.
avocados,
Yeah, that's a lot of
right?
calories.
So
Expensive too.
because
Avocados. That's
yeah,
economy.
so like it's just a ton of fat, right? Again, what's healthy versus like
Is it like
what's
19 grams of fat in like one avocado?
no, it's a half.
Is it
I
more?
think half.
Is
Yeah,
it
like
more?
look it up. I want to say one avocado is 500 calories, like one large avocado.
322. It says a large avocado is somewhere around 322 calories, 30 grams of fat, 17 carb, 4 protein.
Okay, well, I'm a little off there, but
It's a
whatever.
lot of calories though. I mean, so almost 1,000 calories
Right. So it's
for
like,
three of them.
but
Yeah.
that's perceived as a health food, right?
Mhm.
So you have to kind of like weigh the pros and cons of what you're consuming too. I'm gonna Dave, if you sit there and eat that whole canister of cashews that are salted, they're
Yeah.
delicious and they're mostly healthy, but
Man.
you could put back 2,000 calories in a sitting easy.
Easy. Yeah. I would say rice cakes are like another one. Like I like rice cakes, but you can eat like 6 or 7 of them with peanut butter, and then all of a sudden you
Sure.
just ate a ton of calories.
So, any questions about all that as I'm going to move into like what are the fixes?
Yeah, I mean, I just, how do you break someone's perception is kind of where I am of what's healthy, what versus what's not. I would say a prime example, what I'm thinking of too, is like healthy snacks that are calorically low, but are so full of fake bullshit that we've seen across stores, in supplement stores and
A
mainstream
protein
and even
bar.
gas stations. Yeah.
A protein bar.
Yeah. I would avoid all like snacks that you can find in the grocery store that are marked as like protein snacks like the plague.
The more you so the first thing when it comes to the nutrition is like the simplest thing, and I used to tell this to people at at 5 Star all the time is stay on the outside ring
Yeah,
of the grocery
absolutely.
store. The further, besides rice and oats, the further you get in, the worse off you're going to be, right? So if you can eliminate as much of that processing as possible and stick to things that have, let's say, 4 or less ingredients, okay, then you're going to be better off. Now, I would say I would debate the word snack is very cliche and it's very there's just a lot built into that. I would just say, look, dude, if you're somebody that cares enough about your health and you're trying to lose weight for whatever reason, for whatever purpose, you're going to just look at it from a perspective of I need to eat 3 to 5 whole food meals a day. It's not about, oh, this snack, this or this. Look, steaks before shakes, dude. Like, it's not one of those things. And the more compliant you can be to that, I guarantee you, Dave, that if this whoever's listening to this that's struggling with this, and maybe no people will, but anyone that struggles with losing weight, if they pull out the eating out and they shift from ultra processed to minimally to no processing foods, it will just magically change their body composition
Hmm.
as long as they're moving enough, right? Like that,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really that's where the simplicity comes in. Okay. Moving into, what are the fixes? And I think the first thing that we have to look at is it's more around like policing your behavior, right? Like what are the mental changes that we can make? And you can kind of move more into like the physical changes. So this is annoying for a lot of people. And I get a lot of people that want to work with me and they'll refuse to do this. They have to have another way because their perceived level of busyness is too high. But this is what's called an audit week. So typically what I would do is I'd say, look, I need you to give me 7 days of uninterrupted discipline. Okay. So we're going to weigh everything in grams, no cups, no spoons, no medium apple. Everything goes on a food scale. We're going to look at raw versus cooked. Ensure that you track the raw weight of meat/grains or using the correct cooked entry. Condiment audit. Track every drop of oil that goes into the pan and creamer that goes into your coffee. Okay. Then at that point, once you've done that, you can look at potentially recalculating your maintenance. Okay. So you'll use your total daily energy expenditure might actually be lower than you've estimated. If you're sedentary outside the gym, your maintenance could be as low as, 15 to 1600 calories. Okay. Which again, if you're eating a 150 calorie deficit, that would completely eliminate and erase that deficit. Okay. So after that, the next action you could take, increase your step count, which is that's going to fall under your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, rather than lowering calories further. Because if they're eating 1,300 calories and they're not losing weight, do you think lowering their calories further is the solution? No, it's just not. It's not. It's going to make things worse. It's going to create
We
more.
have to know you should never lower your calories below 1,200 as an adult. And really, I think that we shouldn't really go below 1,400 in most situations. Would you say
Unless
that
you're
that's accurate?
like a
Joe
little
Week.
person and you only weigh like 90 pounds, but again, it's all
If
gonna
you're
be low.
100 pounds and you want to stay 100 pounds and you can survive and eat well on 1,200 calories a day and feel good and you feel like you look good, then that's fine. But I mean, I would just say that if you're pushing over 200 pounds, it's really not a good idea.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're going to create more long-term issues.
so increasing the step count is gonna be another step there. So aim for 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day daily outside of your workouts.
Mhm.
This one's is tough for people to kind of get through because they think that if they take a diet break or they go up to maintenance, that they're just going to stop getting results. And the reality is moving to maintenance for 1 to 2, 3, or even 4 weeks will actually reduce your cortisol, which will flush the water out and it will recover your non-exercise activity thermogenesis so you start moving more again. And oftentimes what will happen during a maintenance week or diet break is people will lose weight because their water retention drops. Oh my God. It's crazy, right? And then, well, my measurements are getting better all of a sudden. But I'm eating maintenance. It doesn't make any sense. It's because your cortisol was so high
Right.
that you're just holding on to water. And that's why you're bloated all the time. And that's where you're inflamed all the time. Okay. So those are some things that can be extremely helpful, getting you back on track and breaking you through um a plateau. This isn't like a break the glass in case of emergency type of situation where I'm just going to start eating more calories. Let's try to go through these steps first to ensure that okay, I was my for 90% of the people out there that are struggling to lose weight, it's likely they just need an audit week because they're eating more than what they think they are, right? If we know that 47% of the people in that study are underestimating their intake, then it's likely that a bigger portion of the population that wasn't a part of that study is eating more than what they actually think they are. And especially if you're going out to eat all the time, because I know people that are constantly eating on the run, and I'm like, look, eventually that's going to go in the wrong direction. So the audit is likely going to fix most of the problems for most people. Then, if that doesn't work, then you get into recalculating and then you add steps as far as like your daily steps. And then from there, if that hasn't worked after a couple weeks, then you would go into the diet break maintenance phase.
Yeah.
It's pretty simplistic, but a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, and I do think that it goes back to our episode about different nutritional perspectives, right? Like takes on nutrition, like, hey, I'm gonna do the sugar diet. I did actually listen to Mark Bell's full interview with John Heck on the sugar diet. Now that he spoke on it a little bit more, I actually like kind of understand where he was coming from.
Right.
But it I think that another thing to add here is you're not going to be doing the same nutritional plan for the rest of your life. The nutritional plan that you follow today is not going to be the same one that you follow 4 or 5 years from now or 10 years from now because your body will have adapted. You're going to have to increase and subtract certain things and add things into your plan that are going to support your current goal. At 75 years old, I know that your goal will be different than it is today,
Yeah,
right?
yes, and what we also know is that from a metabolic standpoint, the people that say their metabolism slowed down because they turned 40 or 50, that's actually not true. Your
Yeah, it's just an
metabolism doesn't
excuse. Yeah.
exactly. It doesn't actually slow. And we're not talking about these other factors that we discussed. From a physiological standpoint, your metabolism actually doesn't slow down until I want to say it's like 65 or 70 years old. Okay. So if you're younger than that, that's not the thing, right?
Yeah, and this goes to something that we didn't really talk about that has to be said before we close this episode out. What is the number one way to make sure that you don't hit a fat loss plateau when you're starting this journey? What are two things you need? Any guesses, Justin?
Well, you need to track.
Yep, that's one. I would just say that that probably is my answer. One would be like plan. Like you need a plan. You
Yeah,
can't
you need
go
a
in
plan.
blindly. You need a
Yeah.
plan. You cannot execute if you don't have a plan. And then what would you say is way more important to becoming successful initially and then sustaining it long term?
Well, I think you have to change your mental side of things. You have to be
Yeah. Okay. Well, three things. 'Cause that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Like,
Yeah. I
sorry. Yeah.
mean, you gotta strength you
One.
gotta strength
Sorry.
train, right? You
Sorry.
know,
This isn't like a guessing game. You know what? Now it's multiple goals.
I can't
Okay.
can't read Dave's brain here.
Sorry. Multiple things. So let's back it up. In order to not have fat loss plateaus in the very beginning, what are some initial blockers that you can get rid of? You need to say, I have a plan. So then you're not like, what the heck do I do? That's one. Number two, you have to strength train in addition or move your body. I mean, you have to change your physical activity habits. Number three, I would say
Change your mindset.
mindset. Yeah. So mental health has to change. You have to know that it's you're fully in this, and any of those negative thoughts that you have about yourself, you have to do your best to not listen to them. And then the fourth one is, I would just say the support system. Surround yourself with people that are going to celebrate what, sorry, I had to cough there. Celebrate the changes that you're trying to make, understanding that it is difficult. And if you are in a relationship or married or have kids with someone, or, your kids are older, make sure that they support you too. And if they don't, then you just say, hey, like, we're not going to talk about this because this
And
is
I
my
just
goal and
used
that's what I want to go for.
my personal favorite quote in this situation, which I've actually came up with myself. If
Wow.
your
Justin Commodore's original. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
spouse doesn't support your health and wellness goals, you don't have a spouse, you have a roommate.
Yes. I like that. I have heard that before on the podcast.
I would also say consistency probably fits in there too, and
Well, yeah,
compliance.
plan, yeah, consistency. Yeah, I mean, the reason I brought up the support system is I do feel like I have heard so many stories in the past of our times. We've shared stories of customers in the past, and it's like we're certainly not making fun of them. It's, hey, have you heard this in your store? I've heard this in my store, stores, markets, whatever. Hey, like, I just couldn't stick to it. My wife wasn't into it with me. My husband wasn't super supportive, or my kids, I'm separated from my partner, and my kids, when they get me, I want to take them out to eat. Yeah, I get all that. I feel like we've said this before. Anyone with kids, both of us having kids, your kids can talk, mine still can't. He's working on it. They're always going to say, I'm so happy that you are around and you can do things with me, versus, well, dad, why are you trying to lose weight? Well, why do you eat that way? And of course, the answer is always, so I can be here longer, right?
Right.
Why are you training that way? So I can be here longer. Well, why is mom training that way? So she can be here longer. We don't want to be gone earlier than we need to be gone, and that's hopefully not for a long, long time. And we know that we can control those
Yeah, and
factors.
like we don't necessarily have these, depending on what you believe and stuff. Like you do control your health, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
people just some people live to eat, and that's just what they like to do. But you're controlling how long you're going to live, right?
Right.
Like
And
it's
the
not.
other, the other thing I was thinking about earlier today was, it's my birthday today, as you know. And I'm like, hey, I didn't do my walk because we squeezed in the recording, and I'm cool with it. I love it. I've been walking at night lately. Got my parents coming over. We're gonna have some food, have a little bit of cake. Theo's gonna go to bed, and then it's gonna be like, hey, I'm hitting the pavement for a couple of miles, and I actually really enjoy it. It's the mental health aspect of it. It's,
Yeah.
don't don't give yourself all these excuses. Well, I can't because I have kids, or I can't work out because I'm so busy. You absolutely can work out. You just have to find that time. What is more important, scrolling on your phone or walking for 30 minutes? You don't necessarily have to do things outside in the blazing cold. You can, or the blazing heat, right?
Sure, you can scroll on your phone and walk at the same time. I've seen these kids do it.
Yeah, I see it outside. Yeah. Yeah.
Not that you should, because I've seen people
No.
trick too. But
Yeah, you don't
anyway,
want to do that. You could make it part of your family routine for sure. Of course, I know like weather is a factor, but you can fit it into your schedule. I mean, it's every single weekend. We're like, hey, let's go on a family walk. It's more fun that way.
you definitely can.
Yeah. Just please do not make having a family or being busy at work an excuse to not work out. Everyone is busy, everyone has jobs, and it is your job as a parent and someone who's committed to losing fat to fit that into your schedule. You can do it super early in the morning, you can do it midday if you have time, or you can do it super late at night after your kids are asleep.
Amen.
I don't really know how to end this episode. How about we do a lightning round of Christmas related questions with Justin?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we didn't get to do our Thanksgiving one, so I'm just gonna kind of rapidly fire them at you, and you could just give me your answers, like no like long-winded answers, like 3 to 5 second answer. What is your favorite Christmas tradition? It can be more than 3 to 5 seconds.
Wrapping the presents on Christmas Eve, and then when we're done with that, watching Christmas Vacation.
That's a solid answer. I love that. Now, as a family, y'all will watch Christmas Vacation, or just you and Megan?
Well, as a family, we would do Home Alone or the Santa Claus, And then when the kids go to
Wonderful
bed,
film. Yeah.
obviously they're not well, Parker's at the age where she could probably be introduced to Christmas Vacation, but the other
Yeah.
2 aren't quite ready
Yeah.
for the
That's
onslaught.
yeah, that's Beverly D'Angelo. There we go. I couldn't think of her name at
Mhm.
first. Yeah, I don't know if that movie holds up to the test of time sometimes. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Very good though. Very good movie. What is your least favorite Christmas tradition?
I don't really have one.
But you got one. It's in there. You just don't want to say it.
Well, I would say just probably the amount of time it takes to get all of the decorations up.
That's a good one. Yeah. Are you a
'Cause I love the
decoration
decorations.
inside and outside?
Do what?
You do inside and outside?
Yeah, and
Or
I
inside
don't
only?
actually I help where I can. My wife handles most of that stuff, but it seems like it takes so long to get it to where it's prepared, and then Christmas is over.
You gotta take them down.
Yeah.
When is it appropriate to say Merry Christmas as far as the calendar goes until it's not appropriate? That's kind of a curb your enthusiasm question.
December 1st to the 25th is appropriate.
All right. I
Maybe
agree.
maybe the New Year would be, but at that
New
point,
Year.
Happy New Year.
When are you saying happy holidays versus Merry Christmas to someone?
Never.
You don't say happy holiday. You're not an HH guy.
I say Merry Christmas.
What if you know they don't celebrate Christmas?
I say Merry Christmas.
Oh, we've got a Christmas fanatic here. I will say, for anyone who doesn't know, my dad's Jewish. He celebrates Hanukkah with himself, and then we celebrate, just the aspect of it. We love Hanukkah in our family, but we also celebrate Christmas, and he'll actually say Merry Christmas to a lot of people. I like saying Happy Holidays because to anyone who I don't really know, because at the off chance they don't celebrate Christmas, I don't want them to be like, "Hey, we don't celebrate Christmas," and then I just have questions.
But that doesn't mean that it's not Christmas. You know what I mean? It's still
For
gonna be
them,
Christmas.
it's December 25th.
Yeah, so it's like,
I mean,
I hope that day is merry for you.
are you throwing a happy Boxing Day out there ever?
No.
I was
I
supposed
have
to be born on Boxing Day.
I don't I mean, I'm not like, discriminating against the other holidays.
No, I
I'm
know.
just
I just wanted to
with
ask.
friends,
Yeah. Do you say
and
happy Hanukkah to them?
of course,
Okay. Well, there we go.
like, but I wouldn't say happy holidays though. I mean, I guess I had it, but if you go into Starbucks and you say Merry Christmas, they just will say you too. They won't, or
Yeah.
they'll say happy
Because I think that
holiday.
they have some sort of policy, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah, at least in
Yeah.
my experience.
When you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you don't want to get in trouble for
Correct. Correct.
something. I mean, I really don't blame them for that. Are we eating ham on Christmas?
No.
What are we watching on Christmas Day? Now, this is with the kids, presumably in the room.
One of 2 things, Christmas movies or football.
Okay. Now, up until the last couple years, Christmas has included the NBA. You're not an NBA guy. Never. Not on.
Not since
Yeah.
the, um, Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Hardaway for the Magic time frame, but we were young
Penny?
kids then, so
Penny?
yeah, Penny. Yep.
Yeah, that is quite a long time ago. Specifically, you being a Orlando guy originally. What is on the top of your Christmas tree?
This one there we have 8 Christmas trees.
At the Commodore's residence.
Yeah.
All right.
It is
Well,
a
let's call it the main tree where the
it's
Santa
a
Claus
it's a
gifts go.
it's like a he looks like a very well-dressed Santa Claus.
Not old-timey Santa Claus.
The old-timey Santa Claus, yeah.
Like he has robes on or he's
Yeah.
wearing a suit?
Yes.
Okay, you have the old-timey Santa Claus. I believe that is a German, let me see, German tradition with tree topping.
Here looks like the little Horcrux ball from Harry Potter, which we're a big Harry Potter. Well, my wife is a big Harry Potter fan, so I've just been kind of indoctrinated into that.
You don't like Harry? You're not an HB guy?
No, I mean, I've seen all of them. I never read the books. I wasn't into it like that.
Yeah, I don't know about reading. My sister was into reading. Okay, I cannot find that. I guess it's a different tradition. Maybe I screwed that up. We have a star on top of our tree at the Chase Gallardo compound, but I believe that we had the old timey Santa Claus at some point in my parents' house, and then we switched to I think we switched back to the star because my mom's a big fan of the star. Can never really go wrong with the star.
Got it.
What's the worst present you ever got from Santa Claus?
Uh, I'm gonna say that, and this is gonna go against what you want here, but any present worth giving is good.
What a boring answer.
I don't recall ever receiving a Christmas present that I was like it's always been people could say, "Oh, socks or underwear," and it's like,
I don't
"No,
think those are great gifts. Those are
I'm
phenomenal
walking
gifts.
around half the time with boxer briefs that,
Yeah.
that have holes in them." So it's like if I get that stuff, I'm good with it.
The reason I said that is like maybe I shouldn't have said worse. Is more like where you were hyped maybe for a certain gift and then you got something more practical, which is what they do in Hanukkah. Is you usually get like one really awesome gift and then like seven like little trinkets or things that you actually need, like a notebook or
Yeah,
I don't know if they give socks specifically, but I do know socks and underwear were like a huge thing, at least in my household growing up. And I always thought that those were great gifts because you knew you were going to wear them most of the time
yeah.
throughout the week. You know, you're going to wear socks every day.
I
That's a great
never
gift.
I never shout out mom and dad and grandmas, but I never got anything that I wasn't like, "Man, this is awesome."
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's in the spirit of the holiday season. It's good to hear that. What's the best Christmas gift you remember getting from Santa and or any family or friends or
So
anything like that?
this will segue from what you were saying in that I can remember that almost having that letdown experience where there was a specific thing that I wanted, and I don't know why I expected it to be under the tree, because it wouldn't have fit. At the end, my parents were playing like a little trick on me, but I'd have to go back and ask them how exactly they pulled it off, but, um there was there was a time where, like, if my dad was working nights and my mom was working days, sometimes we would do Christmas on Christmas Eve because that's
Yeah.
just when we could get it done,
Took
and
took my next question, but yeah.
one particular Christmas Eve, I thought I was getting this particular thing, and I
Can
didn't.
you tell us what it is?
I will
Okay.
once I get to, and I can remember, like, I had a look on my face and my parents are like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "No, everything's great." And they're like, "Oh, well, we do have one more thing."
How old were you?
uh, Between 10 and 12, I think. "We do have one more thing for you. We need you to come outside." And so I go outside and there is the basketball hoop in the ground, concrete filled, set up,
Wow.
you know. Um,
So they set it up the night before,
I don't know. No, because it was think this was I remember it being dark, so I think this was Christmas Eve.
and
So
this was
I
in
don't really
Florida.
recall how they pulled it off, or if it even I may be just having a Mandela effect here, and I'm remembering it differently than how it happened. But I remember that that was, like, the best thing ever was I got a basketball hoop.
That's a classic parent switcheroo, like acting like that's all you have and that's it. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we
Anytime,
have
like,
one more.
I
Yeah.
can I can remember even recently, like, getting a new Xbox from my wife when I didn't even like, it wasn't even expected at all. It was just like, "Hey, by
Yeah.
the way, that's obviously awesome too." She is the queen of surprises, and she'll get me stuff that I ask for, but then she'll also do things kind of like that she's been sitting on for 3 years and then just
Right.
surprise me with it.
Yeah. Are your kids in earshot? The next
Yes.
question that I have. Okay. Okay. I have one that I can ask with the kids around. What are your Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day traditions? Do you do a small gift opening and then a big like most
The kids do on Christmas Eve night. I think
one
they
each?
done is they will exchange the gifts that they got for each other.
Nice. Okay. So Blake will get Jack, and then I actually always forget your third kid,
Parker, Blake, and Jack.
Parker. Yes.
So they
So they'll
swap
all
gifts. Yeah.
Parker's your oldest.
Yes.
Who was the one deadlifting there the other day? That was.
Blake and Jack.
Blake? Yeah, well, I knew Jack was doing it. I just always
Yeah.
forget between Blake and Parker.
Another one that's very unique for Christmas Eve tradition is we will typically do Chinese food on Christmas Eve.
Mm. Yeah, it's a pretty common one, I think, is Christmas Eve, New Year's. A lot of people will have Chinese food just around the holidays,
Or
which I feel like Chinese food's great.
Asian delicacy, whatever you want to call it. 2025.
Well, you're not Italian, so right? So
I am.
have you ever been? You have? Okay. Have you ever been to a Seven Fishes of the Sea Christmas Eve? You know the concept of it.
I do not.
What is seven? Yeah, so it's Italian American Christmas Eve, a dinner celebrating the vigil before Christmas, large
Get mocktails
meal,
please.
multi-course meal of fish and seafood, stemming from Catholic abstinence from meat on holy days with the 7 dishes.
Someone's at the door and they're like all excited about it. I don't really know. No, the first one on that side. Yeah.
Families often serve 3, 9, or more, featuring dishes like bacala, calamari, shrimp, clams, and mussels. And so I've been to a couple of these. I think they're awesome. Christmas Eve, usually everyone's getting plastered, enjoying their time. Yeah, it's a great tradition. I will end with this. Do you travel on Christmas Day? I think I already know the answer on that.
I would prefer not to. I've done it
Yeah.
one time, but I would rather not.
Yeah, I think Christmas is best enjoyed at your own home if possible.
I mean,
Because then,
locally, sure. Like my in-laws, we go over their house and do Christmas, but they're 20
yeah,
minutes away. So
yeah. If it's longer than 20 minutes, then I think you're in the car for half the day, and then you're thinking about driving back, and then the next day you kind of have to reset, and your kids are on winter break, and then Megan may have to work. So Emily has to work, I think, the day after. So she's like she's on a clock of like, what time do we need to start like
yeah,
his nighttime routine, and versus like, hey, I'm already home, and then I can be home
right.
when we're already doing all this. So that's all we got. I'm gonna try to get this up over the weekend. I don't know when we'll do that, but this has been another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast for Justin Commodores and Common Athlete Performance Coaching. I'm Dave Chase, and if we do not talk to you before, after Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
And Boxing Day.
And Boxing Day.